If you were with us yesterday, you heard our visit with Dr. Jonathan Tripp. We were talking about supplemental nutrition. There's actually a video of that that I have saved to our YouTube page, newsradio1310.com. We have a KLIX video page, and so if you missed it, we had a lot of great calls during the segment yesterday. Even left some people hanging online, which it's nice to see that we've grown in that segment to that point now where we're trying to juggle the callers between all of the advice from the doctor and his associates. He is still looking for new patients. We should point that out. They also, if you're a patient, they can often see you in less than 24 hours, which is not very common any longer. I mean, some of these places, as he pointed out yesterday, in some places they have just 7 minutes they can spend with a patient. That's what's dictated by the corporate medicine we see in many places. Well, that's not the case at Tripp Family Medicine, which is located on Fillmore Street, directly across from the main post office right here in Twin Falls. And remember, life's too short not to feel good. So I've got one other last thing I wanted to add to all of this about the Democrat debate last night and some of the things they were bringing up. And Bernie Sanders is essentially just saying, open the borders. Bernie Sanders, in his view, you'll just have one great big North American socialist republic, right? We'll get Justin Trudeau, the communist leader of Canada, to go along with that. Bernie will convince Mexico and maybe even some Central American countries to get on board. Perhaps he's really looking at some sort of globalist socialist empire. So he's not really worried about borders. In his view, so what? Let everybody in, and then we'll sort it all out. We'll take everything from everybody, and the government will redistribute it equally, with pocketing a little bit for itself. Look how well that's worked. When you see government bureaucracy in action, I don't know, like at the Phoenix VA, can you only imagine how they would be redistributing your wealth? Poorly, of course. This is out of the New York Times today. I got to share this quickly because a guy by the name of Hector Tobar went to a university in California to talk to Latino students about how poorly and oppressed they are, how poorly they're being treated by many politicians in this country. Boy, did he get a rude awakening. And I'll tell you what, I think that there's something that he's missing here. 8:36, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. The latter, our website, meaning you can listen to us live anywhere, all over the world. So this fellow writes, in this great season of seething American rage, I'm not really seething, I'm just sort of, maybe a mild boil. Showmen and rabble-rousers have the floor. Round up the field hands and the busboys and deport them southward, they say. Build a wall, they chant at rallies and basketball games. Dip bullets in pig's blood for our Muslim enemies. By comparison, he says, we Latino citizens of the United States suffer from a rage deficit. Well, of course, when you go off to college, if you check Latino on the box, I think it gives you an extra 10 points for admission. So, they'll look at your grades, and even if you're just a 78 average student, they'll say, well, 88, and off you go. So why would you be in any sense of rage? Because you're likely getting all sorts of special plums because you're considered a minority. But here's the thing. The students, he said, that he was talking to, they resist oppression in a low-key, goal-oriented way. None of them felt that they were being oppressed. Look, in the southwest of this country, you have people who have Latino ancestry, but their families have been living in what is now the continental United States for 400 years. They don't know anybody who's crossing the border in the dark of night and crawling through tunnels or coming over in the holds of trucks. They don't. They're just people who are going off to college and looking to further themselves. They don't apparently see themselves as victims, and he's a little disturbed by that. He thought he'd go out to this college in California and they'd all go, yeah, where is my reparations check, like some minorities might do. You're up next. You're on the air with Bill Colley at 8:38 on Top Story.
Good morning, Bill. I totally agree with what you said, and I appreciate your analysis of the Democrat situation about, murdering how many abortions taking place and so forth. It's incredible. But I would like to publicly thank all of the senators in the Magic Valley that voted against Senate Bill 1350 that would have called or led to Idaho's call for a constitutional convention. The vote was 23-12. It had passed out of committee and by a vote of 5-3 on Monday, but it was defeated yesterday. and that was great news because there's 27 states now, and we only need 34 to call for a convention. And it would, even Idaho professor of law from Idaho's university has indicated would be a runaway convention. They would make their own rules, and everybody says, well, that wouldn't happen. Well, I guarantee you we'd be throwing the whole Constitution in the trash can and starting over. So our senators need to be congratulated here in the Magic Valley and extend that to them because they were wise enough to see through the deception and the trap of this convention call.
Thank you much for the call. It's 8:40. Got a short break coming up. More with Bill Colley on the way. Our top story on News Radio 1310 KLIX at newsradio1310.com. So there is an argument going on now about who should be paying for renovations of schools in Cassia County. A couple of callers alluded to this yesterday. I want to get back to that this morning and spend a few minutes. It seems to me that if somebody made a promise and they didn't fulfill that promise, then that individual should pay, and not necessarily the people who were made the promise that wasn't kept. Must be a Democrat. But we'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. It's 52. Bill Colley with you at 8:40 on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.